We're live.
We're live. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. We'll let everyone tune in, switch over from the presidential debate. We'll give you a couple of minutes here to join us as I'm sure everyone will start streaming in. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you. I'm going to get us live on Instagram as well, and then we'll really be ready to rock. Okay. Cool. Well, welcome, everybody. Here we're going to be on Instagram here as well. Check us out, JewPro Denver. Start out for one just by wishing a big mazel tov to Moshe and Ricky, who I'm sure are with us right now. Mazel tov, Moshe and Ricky. Lovely couple, just got engaged the other day. Met at a JewPro event at a cidery. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay, wow, what a whirlwind. Welcome, everyone. It's now after Yom Kippur. We had to miss last week, unfortunately, but we're back. There's no more Nuggets game to talk about. They're done. Lost in 5. I knew it. There's not really anything going on.
There's nothing going on in the world.
I guess there's a debate, and there's a debate going on, and we're not going to get political here. I tuned in for about 2 minutes. The kids were with me, and I'm embarrassed for what they had to see, whatever. Okay, but it's okay. I'm a little shook from it, but we're good. We're just going to go right ahead and go and learn a little bit, okay? So
I think tonight's topic will be great after
thank you, Ashan. Yes, okay. What is tonight's topic? Let's just jump right in. I think let's not beat around the bush. We live in a world where it's a little bit sometimes depressing world we live in. The Torah tells us, Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, tells us to serve Hashem with joy and happiness. It tells us, V'samachta v'chagecha v'ayisa ach sameach, that you should rejoice in the holiday of Sukkos that's coming up. You should only be happy. Right? So there's something actually unique about this time of year, this holiday specifically, in which we're meant to be happy, okay? But at the same time, this time of year, what's up, Benny? How are you? I don't know if I know you, but thank you. Chag Sameach to you. Cool. Okay. Anyway.
If you're watching, say hello.
Let
us know.
Let us know you're here. Exactly.
Let us know you're here.
I don't know. Somehow I'm watching on Facebook also to see who's here, and it's kind of strange because
you have subtitles.
Subtitles for myself. It's kind of funky. Okay. Anyway, Ben, what's up, my man? Ben, sorry we couldn't do football this week. Football with the mayor and the rabbi this week, but we'll be back. Okay, we'll be back. Charlie, what's up? Anyway, what we're talking about, this time of year that we're in now, it's a happy time. Okay, but the funny thing is that it doesn't feel so happy right now. Right? We're in a global pandemic. Okay. I think I saw on the news today the 1 millionth person died in the world from COVID today, I think. That's not so happy. We have, what's up, Brad and Irina and
Ann. Hi.
And Brad just lost the internet, but he's back, it looks like, so that's good. So it's meant to be a happy time, but we have a global pandemic. We have a lot of unrest. We have a lot of division going on. We have a debate again that I had to turn off after 2 minutes because I was just embarrassed. My kids would have to see that. And it doesn't quiet over there. Sorry, Devorah's pretty pumped up. So it's kind of a depressing world we live in. I think now is a pretty.
It's a sticky situation we find ourselves in.
Find ourselves in a sticky situation. A lot of division. Devorah, seriously, calm down. Sorry, that's my, 9 months?
8 months.
8 months, okay? We might have to bring her on to cheer us all up. Okay. Is she done? We just bring her on, maybe she'll quiet down.
She needs to keep eating.
Okay. Rami,
her second bowl.
Keep her quiet over there.
Sweetheart.
Okay. Okay, anyway, we're not going to eat talk right now, okay? Soon, but not now. Anyway, okay, here we're back. We're back. Thank you. So we're in a depressing kind of situation in the world. It's been a tough year, and now we enter the Zman Simchasenu. This is the time of our joy.
Wow.
So the question is, how can we cultivate that joy? Right? We've talked about this before, but honestly, it's such an important topic. Like, we need to talk about it again.
Yeah. Also, we recently had that time in the year where we decrease our joy.
Yes.
And now we increase our joy. So clearly there's this, can I just go into it?
Go for it.
Clearly there's this assumption that we have control over our joy.
That's right.
Yeah. Haley, Jordan, good to see you.
And yeah, it does appear, like you said, like we have an expectation to be joyful. And again, obviously at certain times it's difficult. So how do we come to understand this? So I think that the first thing that we have to speak out, and maybe we'll get to some tools how to do this, but there's a very fascinating book that was written by a lady named Bronnie Ware, who was with, for what she did for a living was that she was with people, on their deathbeds, essentially, as they were preparing to leave this world. She spoke to them, and she was able to glean tremendous insights into life based on speaking to them. And one of the things that she reports, and I'll just quote the article that I found, is that she said the following, that many people did not realize until the end that happiness is a choice. They had stayed stuck in old patterns and habits. The so-called comfort of familiarity overflowed into their emotions as well as their physical lives. And she said, when you're on your deathbed, what others think of you is a long way from your mind. How good it is to let go and smile again long before you're dying. Life is a choice. It's your life. Choose consciously, choose wisely, choose honestly, choose happiness. So she's saying just something very interesting, that people didn't realize on their deathbed that happiness, they could have, if only they tried, they could have lived a happier life.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize that until it was too late. And there we have it. Our Kala here is with us on Facebook or on Instagram.
Mazel
Ricky,
tov.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov. The people don't realize until the very end that they could have actually chosen a life of happiness. They could have chosen to be happy. And the question is, again, how do we do this? One thing I mentioned before, could be you've heard this, but the word in Hebrew, simcha, the Torah tells us to serve God bisimcha. Okay, we good?
Oh.
Whoa. Okay. There she is. Okay.
This
Feeling depressed right now because whatever. Just look at this little
baby in her diaper.
This baby in her diaper. That is all you need. Okay. We can end the class right now. Just look at this. Be happy. Don't be sad. There's room for hope in this world. Okay. Okay. You want to take her back? Okay. She cheered everybody up. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The Torah tells us in the book of Psalms, it says, Ivdu es Hashem. So I could just take her. It's very cute. Very, very cute. Okay. So the Torah tells us in the book of Psalms, Ivdu es Hashem besimcha. Okay? Besimcha means in happiness. If you rearrange those words, it can actually spell machshava. Machshava, thoughts. Meaning you can maybe just bring her in the other room. It'd be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier.
At least in the playroom.
Okay. I'll summarize what we said later. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So bisimcha is the same word machshava.
Yeah.
If you rearrange the letters,
wow.
It means thoughts. Through your thoughts, you can come to a point of simcha, of joy. If you rearrange your thoughts, you can literally come to joy.
Oh, that reminds me of something. I'm going to get a prop.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So that's just an important thing to know, that based on our thoughts. So the question is, like, how do we do this? That is really the question of how to do this. Now, one thing is there's an idea. Oh, you want to show the prop? Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah, show.
It's my favorite mug. So it's from the schmooze.com. Does interesting Jewish classes and brings in different like science and studies and things like that. But his tagline is, just hold it closer so you can see, because the way you think becomes the way you feel, becomes who you are forever.
I love it. Love it. Beautiful. Okay. So there's definitely a lot to say about this. Again, so what we're going to look at tonight really is how do we take our thoughts and find simcha and find joy. So I saw this really, there's one interesting idea as well. That it's also like a religious imperative, as we've mentioned. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, mitzvah gedola lios besimcha tamid. It's a great mitzvah to be in a state of joy always. It's like a great song by Joey Newcomb. Mitzvah gedola lios besimcha. Lios besimcha tamid.
Maybe at the end we could play it.
Maybe we can play it. Also, another tool if you want to be besimcha, just download TikTok. Forget about the whole China problem, okay? And just watch my TikTok videos, okay? If that doesn't bring you simcha and joy, I can't help you, okay? So stop with the debate. Go on TikTok. Watch my music videos. Enough. That's it, okay? Done.
I want to just share a story I heard today from Rav David Kaplan. He said someone was coming to speak to him because he said he had an anger problem. So this is actually not what happened. Rav David Kaplan was just telling over the story. Okay, so someone went to speak to a rabbi to help him with his anger problem. And so he was sitting in the waiting room, and the rabbi told his assistant, his helper, he said, go get a bunch of different containers of liquid on a tray and spill them on that guy in the waiting room. So that's exactly what happens. He goes and gets soup and juice and you name it. And he's walking through the waiting room. He's like, excuse me, you're in the way. Topples it all on him. And so this guy is sitting here and he didn't react. Like he didn't have an angry reaction at all. He was able to hold it together and to be calm. And so the guy goes to him again, like, excuse me, I'm in your way. Do you think you're in my way. Do you think you could move over? And he's like, I'm just sitting here. What do you? And so anyway, so he goes in to speak to the rabbi. And the rabbi says, did anything interesting happen while you were sitting in the waiting room? And he goes, yeah, there was all this hot and cold, all this liquid spilled all over me. And the rabbi goes, but you didn't react. Why is that? And the man goes, next time you stage something like this, Rabbi, maybe it'd be a good idea to close the door to your office, because I heard that that's what was going to happen. And I knew it was just a test. So the rabbi says, I left the door open on purpose, that you should hear, that you should know it's a test, because everything in our life is really there just to help us grow. And it's not, therefore, it's not something that we necessarily need to become angry about, just to, accept the good and the bad, that it's all good.
Yeah, good.
I know. And that's a whole nother, like, how does anger relate to joy? But I think the point.
Don't be angry, and then you'll be a lot more joyful.
Right?
It's pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and just with both, that we have control over our emotions, and it takes through our thoughts, and it takes practice. We have to strengthen those neurological connections and those habits of how we react to things, but it's possible.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think, again, when we think about these thoughts and how to bring that to become joyful, so it's interesting because specifically now, as we said, Sukkos, the holiday of Sukkos is the holiday of being joyful. And what is Sukkos called? It's also called Chag HaAsif, the holiday in which you bring everything in. You reap your harvest. You gather the harvest. You pick the apples. If you have like you go out there. Now is the season where you go take those peppers you've been growing. You take it all in and you rejoice in it.
Speaking of which, I just need to ask a question to the audience. We have an apple tree. We're so blessed. We have an apple tree in our backyard.
In 5 years, it's only sprouted once.
Why is that?
Why is that?
What can we do?
What can we do? Okay, help us. Why does our apple tree give apples once every 5 years? It's a good question.
Like
Thank
there's
you.
no apples.
But we're
nothing.
still grateful because our tomato tree gave us tomatoes,
Tomato
and
plant.
our pepper tree gave us peppers.
Maybe we should
so-
plant a peach tree.
Well, yeah, let's do it. So the point is, again, it's this holiday in which we collect. It's a chance for us to reflect and to be grateful for the things that we're bringing in that we have. So I think that to the extent that we're able to cultivate our gratitude, and I've spoken about this before, but I developed this concept called the 5 Gs. And one is called, the first G is gratitude. And these are what I think is the keys to happiness. So if we can cultivate gratitude, like that's a big deal, because the reality is that for so many of us, like there's so much to be grateful for. It's just that we don't realize, we take things for granted, and we don't realize that like it's worthwhile to feel gratitude for that. If we would feel gratitude for something, then of course we would feel tremendous joy. And there's an interesting exercise, that we can do for this. One of which is that every morning we say blessings, and we thank God for different things, like my ability to to move, my ability to see, my ability to there's all these to sit upright, to stand upright, right? So like if ever we would for a moment just reflect on these blessings and think to ourselves, what would life look like if I wasn't able to sit upright? Right? When my buddy had a surgery, when he gave his kidney to a complete stranger, I stayed with him, and he wasn't able to sit up. And he asked me to help him sit up. And it's just like, wow, like I just take that for granted. But like, what if like we actually like felt joy every time that we sat up, or every time that we stood up, or every time we put one foot in front of the other and walked, or every time we opened our eyes and we could see.
Mm-hmm. Or we blinked.
Right.
And it re-moisturized our eyes.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Miracles. And this great Rabbi Avigdor Miller, one time was complaining, apparently he complained like about the pollution in the air or whatever. So his students saw him dunking his head in the water. He's an older man at this point. Like, what are you doing, Rabbi? Why are you?
Kitchen sink with water.
Yeah, fill this kitchen sink. Thank you. What are you doing, dunking your head in the water? And he's like, I complained about the air, but I'm so grateful I can breathe. So like, if you can like breathe, right? How amazing is that you can breathe, and how grateful should we be that you can breathe?
Well, Charlie says it could be the nutrients in the soil.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
Where a tree grows.
To figure that one out. Okay, good. So there's actually there's a happiness game. I just learned this from this cool packet that's been circulating by Rabbi named Elazar Grunberger, and he quotes this game. Honestly, this is a lot of work, but you could maybe even edit it to be easier. Let's say that you dedicated, I think it's worthwhile, right? Meaning it's probably a good investment of your time to do this. Let's say you went ahead and you took 30 minutes. It's a lot. 30 minutes. And you literally wrote down every single thing that you are grateful for. So you'll probably find the first 10 minutes, it goes quick. It's easy, right? Do you need some caffeine? I'm putting you to sleep again?
I was thinking about it, but I didn't want to be stuck not able to fall asleep again.
No, okay, fine. So first 10 minutes will go easy. The next 10 minutes, it's a little slower process. And then the final 10 minutes is like tough, okay? Now, what he suggests is basically, you can basically divide it down into things that you're happy, that you can smell, that you can taste, you can see, you can hear, you can touch, spiritual things you're happy for. But he says that every day, this is really like a cool thing, add one blessing every day after you do this initial list. So start off for 30 minutes and do this. And then every day before bedtime, just add one thing you're grateful for.
Nice.
Right? And then you go through your day like looking for things to be grateful for. Now, will that be a happier person or a more depressed person? I think that they'll probably be a more happy person, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, And then he says, after you add every day, you prioritize all of the blessings by ranking your list. You know, and then, you know, you can ask yourself, like, am I more grateful for my ability to have hands or my ability to have feet, my ability to taste or to touch, to see or to hear, to have my family or to have, you know, money? And as you do this, you can zoom in and focus on things that give you the most joy, and at the same time be grateful, because many times you don't have to pick between those pleasures. You have all of them, right? So we're all so blessed with so many pleasures. It's like remarkable. And just along these lines, like as it was once said, the beautiful song, don't it always seem to be that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, up, 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 don't. So it's a nice song. I don't know what paradise is. They paved paradise. I don't know what that means. And they put up a parking lot. I don't know what that means, but I like the first part of the song better. Don't it always seem to be that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Right? So many of us, it's like we don't understand like the awesomeness of our life until something is taken away. Whether that is, you know, for me, I've noticed throughout the years when I get a cold, you know, and I can't smell as well, or if anyone has had, you know, COVID and during COVID, you're not able to smell or to taste, like, that's got to be a serious bummer. And you probably never really appreciated before that awesome ability of what smelling does for your pleasure of eating, or the ability to taste. Those are like big things. Like, I would not want to trade that for anything.
Right. But when you have to stop and prioritize them, then you think, well, if I could only have one, or, you know, which one's more important to me?
Yes, 100%. And if ever you've gotten like dumped on, like rained on, like crazy. One time I was walking to give a class in the middle of the night in Albany. It just started pouring. And I walked into the synagogue soaking wet, just sopping wet. And I was like miserable because I had wet clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy there gave me a dry pair of clothes. And even though it was like way, way, way small, I was so grateful that I had dry clothes. Like, how many times in life have we ever stopped to appreciate the fact that we have dry clothing? I remember I went in college to visit the camps in Poland, and specifically at Auschwitz. I was like as cold as I've ever been. It was like raining, snowing, I forgot what. And like, I was like absolutely freezing. And I thought like my great grandparents who were there, they didn't have the type of protection I had, the coats and the warm clothing I had. And here I was with all that and still freezing. And like, how grateful should we be for something as simple as clothing? So we could go on and on and on about how awesome, how important it is to be grateful. And I think hopefully we get the point.
Maybe the first step in gratitude, though, is, you know, we're so busy going from this to that in our lives and filling our schedule and getting things done and, you know, catching up on social media and everything that we do, that maybe sometimes it's just as simple as taking the time to stop and think about it. But we don't even think about it. We're just too, I know I am sometimes, to just go from one thing to the next. And, you know, it's nice to have that time at the end of the day or whatever. You can schedule it in just to be and to think and to take it all in and process your day. And then you can really think about, you know, every little thing, and gratitude. Take some time for it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. 100%. Okay. So do you want to just take her somewhere else? Like go play in the backyard or something?
She's a dirty day. Okay. That's nice too.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So the next thing, you know, potentially to work on, and what's up, my man Wasserman there on Insta. Good to see you. The next thing to work on, the next G, again, of the 5 G's would be to have a good eye, right? In life, to have a good eye, and to basically to actively seek the good and to see the good, to go through your day, not as like a Debbie Downer, like a negative Nancy, but to be a happy Harry, you know, or you know, just to go through your life and actively seek the good. Right, it's so easy to go through your day and to just notice the bad. You know, just notice the negativity, to notice the things that make you sad, and to focus on that. The wedding you didn't get invited to, the thank you card you never got, the invitation to the party that you didn't get, looking on Instagram and seeing how everyone's having such a great time, but you're not, right? It's so easy to go through your day that way and to see everything in this like kind of negative way. But you shouldn't do that, because the Mishnah tells us in Pirkei Avos, it says, Ezehu Asher, who is wealthy. The person who's wealthy is actually the one who's happy with his portion. He sees the good in his lot, the good in his portion, and he doesn't feel like he's missing anything. Whatever he has, he takes contentment in. And that's like just a secret to happiness, is you're focused and zoomed in on the good.
Mm-hmm.
So
what you have. Also, I mean, if you're comparing with others, you never know what other people really have. And we each have our own challenges, but really no one would want to trade their challenge for anyone else. We have the tools to deal with what we have. And it can be hard sometimes, but
right.
And
even the challenges that we do have, and we definitely, everyone has their challenges, but the idea is that challenges, as we know, right, for those of us who
Sherry,
who lift weights, we grow through the resistance.
Yes.
That's how a person grows. So even the things that are difficult for us, if we refocus and reframe to understand their opportunities for growth, I think is very important.
Yeah.
So the question is, like, what practically can we do to cultivate this sense of seeing the good? And again, I think it's literally like a muscle, right? The Mishnah tells us to have a good eye. You should have a good eye. And you can literally like cultivate your eyes to become better and to notice more good. So, this comes up definitely in the realm of like, positive psychology. Just if you have an employee working for you, to instead of call out their weak spots, to complement their strengths.
Right.
And we could honestly.
It works with everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone we encounter. It's always if you want to make change, to positive reinforcement works not just in parenting or
everything
management, but
everything
in our lives in general. And also trains us to see the good and not just get bogged down by what's hard.
Right, to actively focus on the good. I feel like, with if you're a teacher or a parent or a friend or like just in a workplace, like just actively start noticing good and telling people about that. I feel like that's a good way to make friends. It's a good way to be happier.
Everyone wants to be around a positive person, no?
Absolutely. I learned today with Isaac in Pirkei Avos in the 3rd chapter. It says, greet everybody with joy was the word. Like, in other words, don't just greet people, as the Mishnah earlier says, with a kind face, which is important. You're like, smile. But like, be happy to see them. It's like, how great does that feel when someone comes to you and you feel the joy that they have to see you? It's like when I come home from work sometimes and like the girls just like almost tackle me. They're so happy to see me. Yeah. It's like amazing. It's amazing. So be happy to and notice that good. And I think honestly, again, like what we said before, is you could do this exercise in gratitude and all the things that you're grateful for and add on to that every day. But you could also do another exercise, and you can literally go through your day and do this like for a month. I learned this idea from Rabbi Banish Ginsburg. You can write down, let's say, 3 things at the end of the day that were good. And not necessarily that you're grateful for as the last G, but like just things that were good that happened today, So, I'm thinking of examples. Like you can even reframe, like the Broncos lost horribly the other day, but the good part is like we're for sure in the running for a great draft pick, and that's good because we need good draft picks. Now we also need a general manager knows how to pick them, but we need good draft picks. So that was good. I'm noticing the good in an otherwise kind of lousy situation. Like the quarterback play I saw was among the worst I think I've ever seen in my entire life. But the good part of that is that, God willing, maybe we'll tank for Trevor Lawrence and we'll get a generational quarterback to be the quarterback of the future. And we can trade Drew Lock. He's a baller too. He's great. But yeah, I'll take Trevor. Now, sorry.
Pause for a second. I have no idea what you're talking
Ben,
about.
if you're with me, this is like I miss not being able to do, have our football hour. For those who are not aware, by the way, Ben Mayra and I are running a weekly little kind of Judaism and football like kind of podcast show. So you should totally join us on Monday nights. Typically, this week it'll be Thursday night before the Broncos game. But yeah, totally join us. Anyway, sorry, what were you going to say?
So much of it is just based on our perspective. And I read recently that someone who's down in the dumps, they're going to go in their day. And what are they going to notice? They're going to notice things that bring them down. Whereas if two people go through the exact same day with a different attitude, one's going to notice and what's going to stick out to them is the good stuff and what brings them joy. And the other one's going to be like, well, my cotton candy wasn't as good as I expected. And the grapes were rotten, and the baby's crying.
Screaming. The bar for show, that's great.
So it's really a matter of our perspective and what we choose to focus on. And maybe one way to help us focus on the good is by talking about the good. That have someone that you can tell the good to, and maybe you. Is she tired? She woke up about 6:30. Yeah, she could be tired. Yeah. Maybe you could find a friend and you could just exercise together and you can tell each other about the good parts of your day. And maybe each just pick 3 a day, like Danny was saying. And then you're like thinking throughout the day, what am I going to tell this person? And then you get to talk about it. And it's just like, there's so much more awareness of that good in the day when you do an exercise like that and when we really focus on it. It's there, it exists. There's so much that happens, but it's just a matter of where do we focus on and what's our perspective. So far we have gratitude and we have, I think, the shift in perspective. And perspective is so key for so much. Yeah.
And as I was saying, just to make this list, and if you literally go at your week and you had 3 things that were like good today.
Yeah, can you just pause for a sec? Look, you see how it was so red? And when you left, it became red. And then you come back.
It's not red anymore.
Isn't that so interesting how
That's
that works
crazy.
with the... Maybe because your white shirt like balances it out.
Could be. I don't know. Interesting. Well, we're not too red anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to see the good, and to write down every day 3 things for a week, you come up with like 15, 18 things. You go over that list on Shabbos, and that's 18 things that were good that week. I mean, if that's not going to like cheer you up, then what would? I'm trying to think of like the good. Yeah. So
I think the point of it is just it's that mental exercise to exercise that part of our brain and make it stronger. So that's what we see, and those are our habits. And once it becomes habit, then it's so much easier to just go through the day and see the good and appreciate the good. Yeah. It's just more a part of your life because you know how to focus on it.
Yeah, and I think as well, by the way, that I was just going to say the good. It's so important to do this. I feel like now more than ever. Again, like what we started with, it's kind of like a tough kind of time we're living in.
Yeah.
So
you
now
turn on the news. You're by default focusing on the bad
because
that's what the news is about.
That's
why it's going to be frustrating. And don't open the news looking for a great way to start your day and looking for some good news because it's not going to be there.
It's like pretty much guaranteed to depress you. That's why my man from the office, Jim from the office, had that great show called like Good News, like GNN, Good News Network or something. You know what I'm talking about? That guy, Jim from the office. like Jim and Pam, like Jim.
Give a thumbs up if you have any
if you
idea
feel
what
me and know what
talking
I'm talking about, yeah, just give me a thumbs up. Jim from The Office, he just dedicated a show to like only good news.
Right.
And like the guy went viral like crazy because that's what we need. But sometimes good news is kind of like boring, or people think it's boring, but really it's great. So anyway, that's very important. Okay, so that's the second G. The third is to focus as well on this idea of good, meaning everything that God does is for the good. We have a statement in the Talmud that says, Kol man da'avid Rahmana latav avid. John Krasinski, it's my man. Jim, a.k.a. John Krasinski. That is the guy. Go check out his show after this show, and that'll just cheer you up. Yeah. No, not The Office is a good show. I'm talking about his happy show. Now, The Office is hilarious. So I guess, you watch that too, but his happy show. Now, what I was saying, so the Gemara says everything God does is for the good. And when you realize this, it's life-changing. And obviously sometimes it's very difficult to understand this. And, but, because sometimes life can be so difficult and challenging. And in the moment, it's often impossible. It's often impossible to see the good, certain times. But we have this idea that it's called bitachon. I'm sure we've talked about it before. It's very important. Bitachon means trust, that we trust that God not only created the world, but he runs the world. And whatever is happening, there's a reason it's happening, and we don't know why. We have no idea why it's happening. We don't claim to know why, but it's going according to God's plan. And when a person gets real with that, when they experience the inevitable disappointments in life, let's say a failed, job attempt, you try to get a job somewhere, or you tried to get into college somewhere, or a grad program or something, and it didn't work, you knew you put in your effort, you knew it wasn't according to the plan, and you can kind of carry on, right? Because you know that everything that God does is for the good, and you might not recognize it now, but it's things, you're being directed in a certain way to a certain place that is for your best.
So it might be hard in the moment, obviously, but to the extent that in the moment we can say, I don't understand this, I don't know, and that's okay. I don't have to know right now, and we can accept that and move on, right? It's in today's society, we just have to know everything, right? We just want to know everything. It's like an assumption that we have to understand how everything works and this and that. And yet it's good to do research and to learn about the world. But at the end of the day, no one's going to know everything. And we have to just accept that so too as human beings, some people, know different parts of knowledge about the world, our bodies and how they work. So too our Creator knows everything. And we're not going to understand it all. And if we did, then, we could be the Creator, but that's not the case. So we just have to, there comes with joy. Joy comes with accepting that we don't know.
100%. And you can let go. That's kind of honestly what Shabbos is about too. Is you're not the creator. You're stepping back and you're basking in that. You're basking in that you're acknowledging that there's something bigger and it's not you. And that's a big realization.
So I think Shabbos actually strengthens that muscle for us so that we're able to just step back and stop doing and let the world keep going without us actively involved in it for one day a week. And then we see that it keeps going, and it's practice of letting go. So as different scenarios arise, we can do that. One friend was telling me that she was frustrated at the time when she didn't get into the grad school that she really wanted to. And she ended up going to grad school in Colorado. And what happened at grad school in Colorado? She met her husband there. You never know why you're meant to be there and what's the big picture of things.
100%. Yeah, no, beautiful. So yeah, I think it's just important to know this. And just one kind of story for me, I thought that was interesting. We got a little personal here. I don't know if everyone knows this here, the thousands of you tuned in right now on Instagram, on Facebook, but before I was a rabbi, I was actually a paint subcontractor in Boston, and we would I'd go door to door. I would identify homes that looked like they could use a little touch up with the paint situation. I would knock on the door and sell our services to them, and then I would go ahead and hire painters to go do the job. Unfortunately, one time after a big job that I landed, a really awesome job I landed, the painter, I guess, somehow didn't recognize that the window was down when he did his power wash on the lead-infested paint in these old Boston homes. And the lead paint went into the house, and my career as a paint subcontractor quickly came to an end. And as a young newlywed who relied on this job for my livelihood, it was a bummer. It's a bummer. But I kind of tried to buckle up and keep a happy face and know that everything's for the good. And ultimately, that freed me up. I was sitting studying the Talmud in the Boston Kollel, and a rabbi came over to me and he said, Danny, would you like to teach at the local Jewish school here? Have you ever taught before? I'm like, no. He says, do you have any background or education in the concept of teaching? I'm like, no. He said, are you interested? I'm like, yes, I am. And sure enough, that began my career as a teacher. Sarah and I kind of co-taught because we had school and classes to combine.
Between both of our college schedules.
We pulled it off.
Yeah.
And it was a huge opportunity, and we loved it and set up a lot of awesome things for us. So that was one example kind of where we were able to look, understand, and trust that everything is for the good. We were blessed that we were able to see that instantly there pretty much. A lot of times in life, you're not able to, we're not privy to see that plan unfold in our lifetime, or at least anytime soon. But we have this trust as well that everything is for a reason.
Yeah, but I think sometimes we do see it in our lifetime, and maybe it's with smaller things, but that can just help us get used to the fact that it's a truth. That's always the case, even when we can't see it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we've talked about this topic before, and I feel like we've made it through the 3 Gs. So if any of you are watching us and you're like, oh yeah, I know this. Well, I don't think we got to the last 2 Gs. So now is your chance to really buckle down and listen. So the 4th G, again, we've said the 5 Gs of happiness include gratitude, seeing the good, understanding everything God does is for the good, having that trust. The 4th one is giving. Giving. If you are more a giving person, you are a more happy person. And whether you have a beef with someone, right, you don't get along with someone, well, I spoke about this actually in Yom Kippur. You're trying to forgive someone, just try to be kinder to them, be more giving to them. I'm thinking, honestly, after watching 2 minutes of that debate, I would love it if those 2 men could just give each other stuff. Just I don't know, give them give a watch, flowers, roses, chocolates, maybe. Give each other stuff, and then maybe they could like each other and it'd be more watchable. I don't know. Just me again, not getting involved. I'm not taking sides over here. I'm just
it may take years of giving each other things.
Yeah, I mean that was a lot of giving to get over what I just saw in those 2 minutes. But be giving. Just give to each other. Let's develop this just a little bit. That I feel like, how do you feel? I'll ask you on hundreds of people watching right now. How do you feel when you give? Where you volunteered somewhere, you gave charity. How does that feel when you're done doing that? Do you feel yeah? That's kind of sometimes what I feel after taking things. But when I give, I'm feeling alive. I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling great.
Especially when you give in a way that you're really using your gifts to be able to give to others, a real genuine way that's in touch with who you are. Yeah,
no, for sure. And here's just a cool, awesome thing. And sometimes as babies grow up and grow older, when they can start like feeding you the baby food, that's like a game changer for them. They love
Yeah.
that. It's like all those years of taking, all those months of taking, they just want to like give you. And it can often be a great kindness, by the way, when you let people give to you.
Yeah.
Because when you're giving, you're really the one getting. As a matter of fact, the word give in Hebrew, nason, natan, nusin, right? It's a palindrome. Because when you give, it goes back.
Works both
Nun,
ways.
sof nun, nun, taf nun. Beautiful, yes. Okay. So,
So therefore, sometimes, this is just one of my favorite topics. So
yes.
sometimes receiving is actually the biggest giving that you can do. By allowing another person to give to you, you're allowing another person to be able to feel good about giving, to share their talents, and that brings purpose and joy to their lives, and you're just enabling that by receiving. So that receiving isn't necessarily like, we have this term in Yiddish, nebi. I don't know how you describe that.
Sometimes you don't want to take. It's like you're being vulnerable and you're needing to rely on people and needy.
But it's not really always the case that receiving is sometimes exactly you're giving as well. And that's something that in our world today, there's not the values for it. Either you're the giver or you're the receiver, but there's so much more nuance to it, and there's so much good that can be done by receiving, and making yourself vulnerable to let the other person give to you is really a gift that you're giving to them.
Yes. And I would add here that we're going to make ourselves vulnerable, and anyone who wants to, join our G-Pro Trekkers and be monthly givers, or, give a little gift, to the Jewish Experience donation, like, we'll make ourselves vulnerable right now, and we will do you a favor and let you do that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that's us just giving. So
that's
happy,
how the whole
happy to do that.
organization runs, is from your gifts. So you're really doing an incredible thing by enabling us to be givers. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like sometimes when people will give, they'll like thank me for like letting them give, which is cool. It's like a cool thing. But check this out. I remember when I first read this, I did some research a few years ago about the power of giving. And here's a cool study. I'm just going to read it. They write as follows. I'm trying to remember where the study came from Elizabeth Dunn and Michael Norton, professors of the University of British Columbia and Harvard Business School. That's legit. I say studies in Shians. Okay. Imagine walking down the street to work and being approached by our student, none other than Lara Ackman. Lara, if you're watching, hello. And I hope it was a fun study. Who hands you an envelope. You open the envelope and find a $20 in a slip of paper, which tells you to go spend that cash on something for yourself by the end of the day. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal. Now imagine instead of the slip of paper told you to spend the cash, instead that the slip of paper told you to spend that cash on somebody else. Being generous is nice, sure, but would using the money to benefit someone else actually make you happier than buying yourself the belt, DVD, or apps that you've been dying to get? Yes, and it's not even close. When we follow up with people who receive cash from us, those whom we told to spend on others report greater happiness than those told to spend on themselves. And in countries from Canada to India, hey Lexi, to South Africa, we find that people are happier when they spend money on others rather than on themselves.
Yeah.
So there's studies that show from the Harvard Business School that you're literally a happier person when you are giving to others. So I don't know how to be happy. Give. That makes you happy. Okay. Finally, the last of the G's, and then we'll bring this home with an idea about Sukkos, and then let you all off.
Can I just have one idea about giving?
Yes, please.
So let's say you have $40 in your wallet, right? And someone comes to the door and you give them $10. So how much do you have left?
Wait, can you do the math again? You have 40, you gave 10, you have 30.
And 30. So you might think that you have $30. But how much do you really have left? You have $10. Why? Because that $10 that you gave, no one can ever take that away from you. That was your gift that you gave. Those $30, they're going to come in and out of your wallet. You're going to spend on different things. They're not really yours. What's yours is what you gave. And maybe that's also part of why happiness comes from giving, because then you really are acquiring something. You're acquiring something that's meaningful
That's
and
true.
lasting.
It's eternal. When you give, it's never taken. That giving you did, it can never be taken from you. Beautiful. Well, I was looking on the thing for that love button on Facebook. I was going to click it. Here it is. Okay.
You're looking at
Love.
mine.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not clicking. We need to get you a new phone.
Yes. After
Okay.
Sukkos.
After Sukkos. Okay. Finally, this is a bit of a stretch, but it has to be 5 Gs. Okay. So again, gratitude.
Oh, because like 5G network? Was that even a thing when you wrote this?
When I wrote this speech, there's no such thing as 5G.
It's probably 3G.
It's 3G back then. I tried to figure a way to like call this class like the G Unit from 50 Cent. I love 50 Cent. That guy, he stood up for the Jews when there was anti-Semitism. 50 had our back. I love that guy. Brilliant lyricist. I probably quoted this before on the show, but if not, let me do it again. You shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house, because if you got a glass jaw, you should wash your mouth.
Jar?
Jaw. You shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house, because if you've got a glass jaw, you should watch your mouth, because I'm going to break your face. That's what 50 said. I thought it was a good line. That was a great line. From, I think it's Patiently Waiting. Patiently Waiting. Just a brilliant song. The guy's patiently waiting for his track to explode. It's like in life, you got to be patient, wait for that opportunity.
What does that mean?
I've been patiently waiting for my track to explode. And if you ever, I was thinking like when I was in a slump in baseball, I've been patiently waiting for my bat to explode. And you got to be patient, because sometimes we're in slumps. You got to be patiently waiting for that opportunity.
You just wait. You let it go. You just ride it, and it'll end.
So good.
And
so good.
Using these tips, it can help you come out of it.
That would be another way to get happiness, would be to listen to that 50 song and the clean version when you're feeling down. That is a great pick-me-up. Anyways, so the last G, again, we said it's gratitude. It is see the good, understand everything God does is for the good, and give. Number 5, little stretch. Yeah. Go smile.
I love it.
So it could be.
Because you have to make the effort to go do it.
Right.
If you're sitting in your home, it helps. But
go smile.
When you can give that smile to someone else, then it's 2 G's at once.
Yes. And I'm going to say something kind of corny. But a smile is a little curve that sets a lot of things straight. I think I heard that from a rabbi. A smile is a little curve that sets a lot of things straight. We said before that in Pirkei Avos it says to receive everyone with a kind face and with a happy face. That's a smile. Rabbi Yochanan says, better is one who shows the white of his teeth in a smile to his friend than one who gives him milk to drink. You're better off if someone's asking you for help and you're like, yeah, I'll help you, whatever. And you're not actually like being genuine, and you're looking like it's a burden to you. You may as well not do anything. Mm-hmm. Better to smile, acknowledge that person's humanity, than to give them anything. And it reminds me actually when I would live in Connecticut, when we lived in Connecticut, and I took the train every day to Manhattan. So I remember I had some interesting experiences on that train. One time, actually, this is a digression, I was coming up from Manhattan, and usually people drink a beer on the train on the way back up. This lady was drinking a bottle of wine. And she said, she's on the phone, is like, hello? Yes. Yes, when I get home, sweetie, please bring me some falafel and hummus. Hummus. And she said, you'll never guess what happened today. I had a great day. I thought of something that's going to make us rich. But I can't tell you what's going to make us rich because there's Jews on this train. And if I tell you, then they'll steal the idea from us. And I'm like sitting there very rabbinic looking, with my yarmulke. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was kind of reading, actually. I think I was reading on my wannabe iPhone back then. I didn't have an iPhone yet. But I was reading like an ESPN article about how Chad Ochocinco ran like 50 miles an hour on the treadmill. It's remarkable. But my ears perked up when I heard her talking like that. It wasn't so nice. It didn't make me feel so good. I didn't know what to respond. Honestly, it's just kind of jarring. But be that as it may, as a digression, because what I wanted to say when I'm going down from Stanford down to Manhattan on the 44-minute train, sometimes I'd look around at the folks' face. I was here a bushy-tailed, wide-eyed, happy Westerner from Colorado, happy to be great in the morning. At 6:30 in the morning on a 44. I was just amazed by the 44-minute train into Midtown Manhattan. I was all happy, and I'm looking around. I'm just seeing like.
That's a good face.
It's like people were like pouting.
Yeah.
They were sad to be up that early going off to work, and it made me sad. It made my heart sad because it made me sad because they looked sad on their face. I was sad because why? Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, the great Musar expert, teaches your face is like a public thoroughfare. It's like public property.
Yeah.
If your sidewalk is unsalted for whatever reason and someone slips on it, that's on you.
Yeah.
You're responsible to keep your property safe. And your face is public property. And if someone sees that and is sad by that face, yeah, Brad, you know what I'm talking about. That train is a great train. It's just kind of sad sometimes on that train. But your face is public property. And if it's damaging, you can damage someone.
Yeah, you never know.
You're not allowed, you're not permitted to damage people with your property. And your face is the most public of all property. So just fake it. Just pretend to be happy. Just, and I did this, fake it till you make it. And the scientists watching this call, the many scientists out there, are we okay?
Yeah, stop.
Okay. So all the scientists among you can confirm that when you smile, there's stuff that goes off in your brain that actually produces like happiness, happy little electrolytes that
cool.
zoom from place to place and tell you to be happy. Like I've done this before when I was like in a bad mood.
I've done it too.
And I was all like jolly. I was all happy. And people in the car, sometimes when I'm driving somewhere, so I'm going to teach and I'm just like not feeling it. So, sometimes in the car, they'll be like looking at me on all these things and they're like, and they'll just be in the car like looking at me like all weird. But, then I smile at them and then they get all happy too. It's like this smile is contagious. Yes.
What do you think is more contagious, a smile or Corona?
Ooh, Corona is pretty contagious. Probably Corona. But the smile is maybe second on the list. So the problem is, the mask.
Oh.
It's hard to smile with a mask.
Yeah.
It's true. That I guess you can like lift your eyebrows and that makes it look like you're happy. Like
sometimes I think like if I like smile really big so my cheeks puff up here.
People get the message that you're happy.
My eyes are squished closed.
But as we saw, sometimes the smile it is for others, but it's also for you because it can make you happy also.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So what do you have here? That Avrami's consulting with us here, showing us a nice source. Thank you, Avrami. He's our rabbinic scholar here. He's our intern.
Memory.
Brings us our sources here.
So he's quoting a quote from Rev Meshulam Youngrice, is the Rebbitzon's husband.
Yes.
Yeah. You may not feel like you have a reason to smile, but smile anyway, and Hashem will give you a reason.
Beautiful. So yes. Avrami, that was impressive. The little dude's smart. You heard we're talking about smiles. You remember he read about that somewhere. He pulled up the page and bam.
That makes me smile.
It's like a little encyclopedia.
Actually, I looked in the table of contents.
Oh, fine. He looked at the table of contents.
That's smart
Fine.
too.
Okay, we'll take it.
It's a tool for you to use.
Yeah, anyway, so that is the 5th G. Go, smile, stop pouting. Right, when you walk around all day like this, that's probably
Let's
not
just
a
do
good.
that both for a minute.
It's probably not a good recipe for happiness.
We
Okay?
just both pout for a minute. This is the pout.
It looks like I'm about to cry. And I'm sure you watching this are about to cry too. You know what? Yeah.
And now, just for contrast. Pout. Smile.
We're going to go ahead and do an exercise here on Live from the Bunker. I don't know if the debate's still going on, but it might be. And that's why I'm still doing this right now. I'm still dragging this baby out because
this is going to make you happier than any commentary.
So if you've stuck with us and you're with us, let's do this for 30 seconds. I'm going to set a timer on Siri right now. Okay. It is It's over. It's over. Good. Okay. So you're sad because you just saw the debate. Cheer up. We're going to smile. 30 seconds. I'm going to tell Siri. Set a timer for 30 seconds, please, Siri.
I'm getting ready.
Okay, 30 seconds and counting.
You do it too. Okay? I challenge everyone. Smile.
It's also a staring contest while we're at it.
And when it feels like it's getting fake, refresh.
You lost.
I was just smiling.
You have to look. You're having a staring contest.
Who?
Us and the viewers.
Mhm.
Okay, all done. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty happy and pumped about life right
Ooh.
now. Not just me, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, so that's it. One last idea we'll send you out with about Sukkos and Simcha.
Oh, and I'm
Let's
back.
apply these tools, okay? Simcha, be gratitude, be grateful. That's the same thing. Be grateful. Focus on the good. Understand everything God does is for the good. Give and go smile. 5 things. Okay. Now, the Torah tells us we're meant to dwell in huts for 7 days. We leave the comfort of our home and we go outside into the cold hut. Why do we do this? So it says the Imri Bina, Rabbi Yitzhak Weinstein. Why is joy the mitzvah of Sukkos? And with this, we'll basically end. The mitzvah, right? Holidays have mitzvahs. Rosh Hashanah has the shofar. What?
I'm just loving the comment.
I feel like, yes. Okay. Thank you,
See,
Brent.
it's so not normal.
It's not
to be
normal.
smiling like
We got to
that.
normalize it. We got to
Yeah, make it
normalize it.
normal.
Okay.
We should all just post pictures
I'm smiling.
Videos.
Smile challenge.
of videos. Oh my
We're gonna go
gosh.
viral. Okay. We're gonna.
TikTok. It could be the next.
It could be TikTok, but it could be like the Facebook challenge. I'm gonna tag
Yeah.
5 of you to post a smiling video of you for 15 seconds. Yes. Okay. Amazing. Right after this, we'll do it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what was I saying?
The huts.
The huts. The mitzvah of this day is joy. What is the connection of joy to sitting outside in a cold sukkah? So says Rabbi Yitzhak Weinstein, why is joy written especially in reference to Sukkos? Because during this week-long festival, a person leaves his regular home with its comforts and convenience and dwells in a frail temporary structure. Such emotional independence from the luxury of our home fosters a happy existence in a happy home.
Wow, isn't that crazy? Specifically, when we leave the luxury,
That's
is
when we
our
can feel it.
happiness grows. That's real happiness. Because otherwise, it's just fake. It's counterfeit happiness.
And what we said earlier is when you lose something, the ability to smell, to taste, that's when you appreciate it more. So when we're sitting outside in our coats, all bundled up, sipping schnapps as our family old tradition, we appreciate how awesome it is to be in our home. Rabbi Yaakov Naaman in Darkei Musar writes, the idea of moving out of one's permanent home and into a temporary dwelling seems inconsistent with the theme of Sukkos as the Zman Simchasenu, the time of rejoicing. If in fact Sukkos is a time to rejoice, why should we leave our home, which seemingly disturbs our happiness? Upon reflection, he says, we see that true joy comes with the recognition that this world is temporary. When one who treats physical and material pursuits as life's ultimate purpose, who considers this world a permanent dwelling, does not achieve inner happiness. Generally speaking, being sunk in the vanities of this world results in a lack of joy, since true joy is a spiritual matter. So there's this idea that when we leave our home, uprooted from our home, we can tap into this joy specifically when we feel independent from the material. When we think about like Jewish history and we've been uprooted time after time after time, and here we are all still smiling, still happy despite it all. I think that is a powerful thing to think about with Sukkot. As we leave our home, we focus on that joy, on that happiness, and God willing, we can approach this holiday, which starts Friday night. It's important that you eat in the sukkah Friday night. You say blessing. Every time, every moment you spend in that sukkah is a mitzvah. It's awesome. You just like bask in God's love. He just like hugs us. A kosher sukkah has like 2.5 walls. It's just like this embrace or more. And we feel the embrace of God, the love of God. We bask in that. We enjoy this beautiful Colorado weather. Hopefully it's not going to be like sitting around a bonfire like was the case Saturday when we had the worst air quality in the entire world. Hopefully it won't be like that. And even if it is, we'll still love it And yeah, that's about it. Okay. So be happy,
Song.
smile, and yeah, we'll send you off with a special song. Just a few seconds of it.
I never noticed the laugh thing in the song in the beginning.
It's a great mitzvah to be happy.
Always.
Always. Oh, I'm going to skip to an awesome part, and then we'll call it a night. Oh, maybe it's going to start. It looks like this. Go download it.
No, you don't have to be blessed to be the simcha. But you gotta be the simcha to be blessed, Lord. No, you don't have to be blessed to be the simcha. But you gotta be the simcha to be a you.
Oh, okay. Before I go, I want to tell you what that means. Right, there's this group of Hasidus called Breslov. They just focus. We quoted Rabbi Nachman, the leader of it. They focus on being happy. But he's saying you don't have to be a Breslov or Chassid to be happy, but you have to be happy to be a Breslov or Chassid. And then you also have to be happy to be a Yid, to be a Jew. Part of being a Jew means to be happy. That's like what makes us up. We got to be happy. So please, God, we can tap into that happiness. We can bask in that happiness this time of year. We just went through Yom Kippur, kind of been through the ringer, and now we are happy. We focus on the happiness no matter what circumstance we find ourselves in the world. We are happy. We're joyful. We focus on those 5 G's. And yeah, that's about it. Okay?
I want 5G's Gretchen.
Very good. All right. We'll see y'all next time. God bless.
Yeah.
Be happy.
Have a great Sukkos.
Have a great Sukkos. All the best. Cheerio then.